Hello, everybody. Good afternoon or evening, depending where in the world you are. Michelle. Hey, Rose. Hold on one second. Let me get over to my own stream here. And mute. Okay. So tomorrow at 2 Eastern, we'll be talking about the civil case against Danny Masterson, and more importantly, the Church of Scientology, who is named, unlike the criminal case, they are named as a party in the civil suit. And the civil suit is focusing super heavily on issues around stalking, harassment, suppression of information, interfering in the criminal case, things like that. He'd like to say hi. There you go. Hi, Kenny. Sorry. He's running. Oh, thank you, Crafton. He's under the desk. Yeah, he is. You can't hide, dear. There you go. Oh. And then there's my Ray, and he's just over there quiet as all can be. So sweet. Okay. I just gave you a wrench, Michelle. Let me change my banner. All right. Let's just dive into this. So this is better understood in the Scientology world. And I'm gonna use the word purported, but we're gonna take a look and decide for ourselves, okay? So this is kind of better understood and referred to in the second Danny Masterson case. The major difference was that a lot of information about the Church of Scientology was allowed in to kind of help explain why some of Masterson's victims waited so long, okay? And I want to be clear that while the court case itself revolved around 3 victims, there's far more allegations than that. And not everybody was in Scientology. But the fair use policy itself doesn't really distinguish, okay? So you don't have to be a Scientologist to be quote unquote fair gamed. Okay. So the Church of Scientology's official position is that they do not use this practice anymore. We're going to have a look at this. I'm going to put a quick link into the chat. This is from Mike Rinder's blog. Mike Rinder, by the way, a lot of people will recognize the name if they watched Scientology in the Aftermath, or if they frequent any of the channels around YouTube. There's some really great channels. But he was diagnosed with pretty aggressive esophageal cancer this past week. So I'm going to put his blog link in here. It's a great place to poke around if you want to look at any source documents. But also that, he has a fundraiser going because sadly the treatment that is preferred by his physicians was not covered by his insurance, and so they are going to be paying out of pocket for that kind of stuff. So put this in here, Mike Rinder's blog, and then we're going to read through this. Okay. So up on your screen there is a policy letter. Institutes, the official date on it is 1967. Okay. It's spelling out different conditions, if you will. That's what they're called, but so it's different levels of being an enemy to Scientology. You're an enemy to Scientology if you in any way are critical or speak out against the church. Okay. So we look at that very bottom one there that they have said what it says. So you'll be declared an SP. Okay. An SP is a suppressive person. That's what SP stands for. So when you hear that, that's what that stands for. It's anything that suppresses the goals, the purpose of Scientology. So SP order, fair game, may be deprived of property or injured by any means by any Scientologist without any discipline of the Scientologist, may be tricked, sued, or lied to, or destroyed. So, and it's pretty clear cut, really. Okay. And then let me go to the other one, because what Scientologists and what Scientology lawyers, this is the other thing worth noting, by the way. Let me throw this one up real quick. The other thing that came about this week that's going to factor is that Masterson's first two attorneys in the criminal case were found in contempt, to have leaked documents, confidential documents that were given to them from the police that contained information about the victims, and they handed them over to the Scientologist lawyers. Okay. All of the victims have the same claims, which is that from the moment that they went to the LAPD and reported the crimes finally, and this started in 2016, systematically all of them claim that they have been since harassed, stalked, smear campaigns, followed, garbages go on. I mean, just the list goes on, and we'll talk more about that when we talk about the specifics of the civil case tomorrow. But all in all, they're all claiming that they have been fair gamed. That's what it boils down to. Scientology's position is we don't do fair game. We canceled fair game. And it's true. Okay. So on October 21st of 1968, L. Ron Hubbard issued a policy called cancellation of fair game. It reads, the presence the practice of declaring people fair game will cease. Fair game may not appear on any ethics order. It causes bad public relations. This PL policy letter does not cancel any policy on the treatment and handling of NSP. And that first one is what I read you, right? Okay. So it does not cancel any other order. Former church insiders, all the way up to Mike Rinder, by the way, who was a very high-ranking official. In fact, he was in charge of the division of Scientology that oversaw and executed fair game orders. Okay. So someone who is in a position to know. Claire Headley, who was the person that testified in Masterson's second case, they allowed not only more information about the Church of Scientology, but they allowed witnesses to testify to, apprise the court, the jury, things like that, of Scientology practices, a expert in Scientology, if you will. And Claire Headley was the one who was chosen to do that. She and her husband do have a channel here on YouTube, and it's very informative. It's a good channel. I sub to it. It's called Blown for Good. And the term blown in Scientology means to have left. Okay. So in relation to this, it's universally acknowledged by those that have been in Scientology that it essentially changed nothing, much like what it says, other than they do not use the word fair game anymore. It's just the terminology went away. The practices do not. This is from an upper level. And again, found on Mike Rinder's blog. You can also find this on Mike and Leah's podcast website. And their podcast is called Fair Game, just so you know. Until a suppressive person or group is absolved, but not during the period when the person requests and has a committee of evidence or any amnesty occurs, no Scientologist ethics other than this HCO policy letter applies to such person. Okay. No committee of evidence may be called to punish any Scientologist or person for any offenses of any kind against the suppressive person. And then it goes on, but that's the highlighted part there. That's the important part. Except to establish in cases of real dispute whether or not the person was suppressing either Scientology or the Scientologist. Okay. So that's talking about, that's internal ball. That's if the other person's there, they might do something. But otherwise, if you're an SP, essentially, an active Scientologist is not to be held to account for any crimes that they commit. Okay. The homes, property, places, and abodes of any person who have been active in attempting to suppress Scientology or Scientologists are all beyond any protection of Scientology ethics. Okay. And then unless they're absolved at a later time. That's not going to apply to these ladies who aren't in Scientology, and in all likelihood, they never would have anyway. Let me come over to chat real quick. Yeah, it's a great one. Aaron's, I'd have to go grab his too. Yeah, there's a lot more out there. Well, and a lot of mainstream media isn't covering this, right? I already apologized to Kraft, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry if the Scientologists start coming for us. Like, that's all we need in life, But in the end, it's not being talked about very much. In fact, I'm getting a little frustrated because even when they're talking about the Masterson conviction, a lot of misinformation is going out where things like, up to 30 years is being said. No. He's getting at least 30 years. I mean, that's a big distinction. Right? I know. Better say purported up in this bitch, I guess. I don't know, whatever. But I told a story last time. Okay, so Michelle, I told this story last time where I was like, when I was like 18 or 19, I filled out some questionnaire, right? Just some like mail questionnaire and sent it in. And the Seattle Scientology Center was pretty new. And, that's where it went. So here we are all these years later. I've been married. I've been divorced. I've moved more flipping times than I can even tell you. At some point in 2016, 17, maybe, when the Aftermath was still on, by then I had followed, Leah and Mike and people that had been on the show on Twitter. And at some point I did a tweet back to Mike Render, who tweeted back to me. And it was just this little brief thing. And it was just, over something that he had posted or whatever. I shit you not, 6 weeks later, I started getting mail from the Church of Scientology in Seattle. Never was a Scientologist, never went in to follow up, never followed up with anything after I filled out that stupid personality quiz shit that came in the mail. Never. So, they're weird. I mean, I don't know what else to say, So it's like, yeah, there's fishy shit, and then you hear stories and you're like, wow, okay, that's fun. But no, I just feel like it needs to be talked about, and it's going to be talked about more. The civil case has been stagnant because Danny Masterson had the right to invoke his Fifth Amendment privilege. They could not go in and depose him because he had this criminal case pending. So they're in a position now that they really can start to move forward. And even for me, until I started looking into this more, when I was just talking about, and researching for last week's show for the criminal case, I didn't realize how much the civil case really is focused and honed in on the church. This is a civil lawsuit about fair gaming. It just is. So it'll be interesting, but they have had, and I'm going to show you the document that kind of goes there with it too. Let me see. I know. So there are plenty of members of the media. Did I not upload this? I guess I didn't. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it. Otherwise, I'll just share my screen. It's another internal document about how to handle critics of Scientology. Okay. So, of course, the women were declared SPs. Those that had not been in Scientology were declared enemies pretty quickly. Okay. So as soon as they started going to the police, that was it. You know what? Those are very small. So this is what we're going to look over now. But it's very tiny. Let me see if I can get it in a bigger screen here. Yeah, there we go. Can I scroll it? I guess not. Yeah. Okay, there we go. That's good. Hold on. I'm going to take you guys with me over to my tab here. So essentially this was done to these ladies, and we'll talk tomorrow about more specifics about what has been done to them, because they are the subject of the lawsuit, which to me was a very big surprise when I started looking into what the civil case was more about. Because of course my assumption was that, okay, so they're going for monetary damages against Danny Masterson for the crimes themselves. But no, it's far more honed in actually on everything that happened after they reported it and started to seek justice. The third victim whose case was actually tried, and her name's Chrissy. She's done interviews. Sadly, her retrial, hers is the only one that ended in another hung jury. So she didn't get her justice, so to speak. There's more women involved in the civil case than were actually charged in the criminal one. So this is still kind of an opportunity for justice for some of them. Of course, civil cases are more about monetary value. But you can only imagine the damage that's been done to them in their life. I mean, it's just the way it works, right? It will be kind of a record-breaking case just in terms of it putting fair game out in the open. Former Scientology members, people like, Leah Remini and Mike Render and Aaron and Claire and Mark Headley, like every advocate out there is looking forward to this case because there's a secrecy kind of shrouded around Scientology, and that's going to go away. It just will. Because of course it's a public proceeding, all those sort of things. They're not likely to settle. That's the other thing. A lot of times there's cases that I'll talk about, or I have talked about in the past on the other channel, where there's not a whole lot that you can glean from anything because it settles. And then what? You can't get into the settlement documents and things like that. This one, it's been stated that there's no chance they're going to settle. I think that the aim here really is to get these things out into the open and to have a discovery process and a series of deposition processes where the whole goal is to make these available to the public. So this is the more, and it's ominous, you guys, and it's what I'm going to leave you with today to think about and to have like kind of as the last thoughts as we head into tomorrow, to give you kind of an idea, because it's one thing to read the policies, which are very brief. And, while the language is clear, they can do anything they want. And in church rules, it's not a crime or punishable on the Scientologist as long as it is an enemy or an SP. Likewise, nobody can accuse a Scientologist without themselves becoming an SPC, where it's a catch-22, right? And it's any and all means necessary. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But these are the words of the late, I don't know if you want to call him great, L. Ron Hubbard. He himself is an interesting character. There's lots of documentaries out there about him that are interesting. Didn't you watch one that you really liked?
On
L. Ron Hubbard? Like on his life in general.
The Prophet, about that movie?
Yeah, okay. That's what you just watched the other day. Didn't you say that's on YouTube right now too?
It's on there, yeah. It was a 4:3 ratio that stretched out to widescreen, so it's kind of odd
to watch.
Yeah, but if you look for it online, it's The Prophet, Profit, and it came out around 2002.
Like profitable,
Yeah.
Profit.
And if you look about The Prophet Scientology movie, you can find.
Are you in my chat right now? Have you even said hi in my chat?
I'm writing up our.
You don't even like me. Next. Have you ever been in my chat on this channel?
Mm-mm. But just search for The Prophet 2002 Scientology movie.
Love you. Okay. Critics of Scientology, this is what it says. Let me get myself serious here because this is disturbing. When I read this, I'm like, this is really disturbing. But this is the clarification. Okay, here's the little newsletter that supplements all of that. If Aunt Ermiltrude, whatever, if your auntie each night went through your change purse and extracted divers coins without your knowledge, and then if she found you had joined a group that could discover secrets, her immediate and passionate reaction would be to damn the group and you as well. If the wife were stepping out with your best friend behind your back, And one day she found you had thoughts of joining a group that taught you people's motives and reactions and made you understand them, she would throw a mad dog fit to prevent your progress. If a government were busy making capital out of people's ignorance of economics and world affairs, and were playing a double game, and a group came along and started to make its people smarter and more knowledgeable of true motives, the government would try to shoot every member of that group on sight. If a group of scientists were knowingly raising the number of insane to get more appropriation and treatment fees, and somebody came along with the real answer, that group would move heaven and earth to protect its billions of rake-off. And so individuals, governments, and scientists attack Scientology. It's as simple as that. We do not treat the sick or the insane. We break no laws. We do more good in any 10 minutes of this planet's time than the combined efforts of all social ministries on earth to better mankind. Stated that way, however, it looks pretty hopeless and even dangerous to be a Scientologist. Except it is totally hopeless and fatal not to be a Scientologist.
This is recent?
This is L. Ron Hubbard, dear.
Oh.
This is justification on the fair game around any critics, okay? Those who are not Scientologists are left in the complete ignorance of the motives of the dishonest, and they have no chance of personal immortality. It's as simple as that. It is better to be endangered, but with a chance, than to be condemned utterly and without one. Those who criticize one for being a Scientologist or make snide remarks cannot stand a personal survey of past actions or motives. This happens to be a fortunate fact for us. The criminal abhors daylight, and we are the daylight. This guy was such a fucking writer. You can just tell. Now get this as a technical fact. Fact is italicized for emphasis. Not a hopeful idea. Every time we have investigated the background of a critic of Scientology, we have found crimes for which that person or group could be imprisoned under existing law. We do not find critics of Scientology who do not have criminal past. So he's saying not is italicized as well. So this is in order to the people that are in charge of finding yo shit, okay? You find it. And by the way, you don't have to be honest about doing it, remember? Because there's no rules. Not for the quote unquote Scientologist, okay? Over and over, we prove this. Politician A stands up on his hind legs in Parliament and brays for a condemnation of Scientology. I don't know if that's a typo or B-R-A-Y-S. It must be a word. When we look him over, we find crimes, embezzled funds, moral lapses, a thirst for young boys, sordid stuff. Wife B howls at her husband for attending a Scientology group. We look her up and find she had a baby that he didn't know about. Two things operate here. Criminals hate anything that help anyone. And just as instinctively as criminals fight anything that may disclose their past. It says his past, but he means their, because this is applied to women just the same. Now, as criminals only compose about 20% of the race, we are on the side of the majority. This is quite true. In one country, we have almost exactly 100 Scientologists for every member and supporter of psychiatry. That is bullshit. They make the noise because they are afraid. But we have more general influence and more votes. The way we handle the situation now is simplicity itself, and we are winning. We are slowly and carefully teaching the unholy a lesson. It is as follows. We are not a law enforcement agency, and then in big old capitals, but we will become interested in the crimes of people who seek to stop us. If you oppose Scientology, we promptly looked up and will find and expose your crimes. If you leave us alone, we will leave you alone. It's very simple. Even a fool can grasp that. You don't underrate our ability to carry it out. Our business is helping people to lead better lives. We even help those who have committed crimes, for we are not here to punish. But those who try to make life hard for us are at once at risk. And at once is italicized for emphasis. We are only interested in doing our job, and we are only interested in the crimes of those who try to prevent us from doing it. There is no good reason to oppose Scientology. In our game, everybody wins. And we have this technical fact. Those who oppose us have crimes to hide. It's perhaps merely lucky that this is true, but it is true. And we handle opposition well only when we use it. Try it on your next critic. Like everything else in Scientology, it works. He gives a fucking script. Sample dialogue. Okay, this is George and Gwen. Oh, I wish you were available so that we could do a dramatic reading. I'll do George and Gwen's voices. Okay, so here we go, you guys. There's a dialogue. There's a script. There's a script in the actual L. Ron Hubbard document here. Here we go. So George, this is George.
I'll do it.
And this is Gwen.
Still wanted to time me out on this description on this. You go. I have beamed in from Xenu land.
Can you see it? Okay, you be George.
Gwen, if you don't drop Scientology, I'm going to leave you.
Oh, it says I have to do this savagely. George, what have you been doing?
What do you mean?
Out with it! Women, theft, murder? What crimes have you committed?
Oh, nothing like that.
What then?
I've been holding back on my pay.
And end scene. Wow, L. Ron Hubbard can write.
Oh my God.
That's great. Thank you, honey. If you, the criticized, are savage enough and insistent enough in your demand for the crime, you'll get the text. Meter or no meter, right? The e-meter, you guys, is their lie detector test, right? So they're saying, like, listen, if you're savage about it, then you don't need the lie detector test, right? Savage woman or man can you tell me your crimes.
Weekly.
Yeah.
Very weekly tell you.
No, you're supposed to you were supposed to be weekly.
Yeah, I can
retorting
tell you my
in
crime.
the wake of my savageness is really okay. Never discuss Scientology with the critic. Just discuss his or her crimes, known and unknown, and act completely confident that those crimes exist because they do. Life will suddenly become much more interesting and you'll become much less suppressed.
Oh.
Aptly signed, L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's what it's about, guys. That's what it's about. So, some of those instructions, those tactics, those things, these allegations of this purported fair game being deployed on these victims is what we're talking about tomorrow. It is the actual civil case around it, and it's heavily focused on it. Danny Masterson is a party, Scientology is a party, and that's what makes it very different in terms of the information that'll start to come out about it as what we experienced from the criminal case. So, hold on one second. Let me get over here because I don't know how we don't end with this song now. Hold on one second, guys. This is the fun part. Like, since we have to build back up watch hours and all that shit, we can just go ahead and play whatever we want over here, you know? Hold on, guys. And I'm going to check in with chat here in a moment, too. That was a great reading, honey.
Thank you.
Thanks for your help on this show. I don't know how to have done that without you. Izzy's clearly jealous. She wants in on this, too. She's like, there isn't a kitty part? What the fuck? I can't get my 4K thing to open. There it is. Neat. Okay, come over and catch up with chat here. It's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know some of the language is antiquated just because of how old it is, but I'm like, in general, it's just kind of creepy. And I don't know. So you guys, like, so one of the things that's just a universal part of the fair gaming process, as people that have experienced it tell it too, is that, I mean, they spend millions on certain people to keep them tailed by a private eye, you know, collecting up their trash, and they make websites about people, and you know, I mean, it's just it's bizarre. But you guys, they do that, and they have tax exempt status. They're considered a religion. That's what they do with all the money that they take from everybody, because it is like the profit is just huge. Hence the name of the documentary you mentioned. It's bananas. It is really bananas. And it's kind of what sucked me in too. That's the reason that I got so interested when the aftermath came out. Okay, there we go. Let's take a look. Hey, Sabrina. Hey, Jen in Jersey. Yeah, it's a beautiful area. Beautiful, beautiful area. I'm glad you listened today, then. Immediately had friends and block skip. Right. Well, you know, there you go, you guys. So, you know, if there's picketers out front of my house all of a sudden, and, you know, we'll see. Is Neil going to come? Yeah, I don't know. I can't even get Crafton to. Well, no, Crafton at least verbally came in to talk about Scientology. Maybe Neil T can come in and smooth it over with the Scientologists for us. I look at that, Rose. Xeno is also called Zemu. Advanced technology. Yeah. All your Thetans. Oh, Bray is yelling like a donkey. Thank you, Sabrina.
Oh, Bray.
Yeah, I was like, because I was going like, is this a typo? Or maybe it's got to be a word, but I don't know what it means. Ooh, we can use our alien emojis over like while we're talking about this one too. Yeah. Happy. How is she doing, Sabrina? Yes, that dramatic reading lightened the mood, because otherwise it's just really cringy if you sit and think about it. They've done it to reporters and stuff. It's bananas. I am very interested in listening. I haven't Googled any of it. Relying on me to given the facts. We'll be talking about it much more tomorrow. Today I really was like, gosh, you know, it's going to make it a really, really long live tomorrow if I don't at least introduce the idea of what fair game is and that it has no limits. It really just has no limits. Because it's going to be important when we start talking about the specifics of what the women are alleging has been done to them. Just a reminder, I have our Memphis MS family reunion tomorrow. We are leaving at 8 a.m. and I don't know when we will get back. Well, I will miss you tomorrow, but that sounds fun. Have fun there. There we go. Does Xenu have a channel? I don't know, Neil. I guess
have some kind of.
Should I put the Scientology website in? Just don't enter your information on it.
Gotta be like a legit Scientology YouTube channel on this thing.
Oh, I'm sure there is. You want me to find it? Here, I can enter. I can put it in. Listen, let's in the interest of being fair and balanced, let's go ahead. I'll put the Scientology website in here.
Yeah.
Or the Scientology. Let me see. Church of Scientology. Right? There should be. There's no way they don't. Yes, there it is. It's just called Scientology. There you go. Here you go, Neil. Here, Neil. If you would like to look over the Church of Scientology YouTube at Neil T, you can find the channel here. I don't know if Xenu's on it, Neil, but there you go. Have a blast. I failed Scientology in middle school. Aw.
I think you're thinking of science, Neil.
Yeah. But there's the channel for you, Neil, so that you can have a look. That's why Michelle's going to unfriend me. She's like, fuck you, bitch. I'm right next to headquarters.
Yeah. We used to have one in Memphis.
We have one in Seattle.
That it always had one car in front of it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the guy that's got to turn the electricity on and off in the thing or whatever. And then Isaac Hayes passed away.
Right.
And that thing shut down 1 week later. It had a fucking for sale sign in front of it.
Aww. Well, they own half of Clearwater at this point. Pretty sure.
They only had the thing there in case Isaac Hayes maybe came to town and needed to roll over there. And I think Lisa Marie or the mother was also
Can someone please
by.
drop Xenu's channel? Yeah. All right, guys. Well, oh no. If he's laughing before he's even typing, that's a sign right there. I don't know. What are you writing? What are you writing? Shut up, Crafton.
Neil just wants him to tell his side.
Take a link, Xenu.
Come on, mister. Shit works.
Gosh.
You get up here and tell us.
Xenu was the extraterrestrial ruler of.
Yeah, I think so.
So L. Ron Hubbard, who established the religion, you guys wrote the religion, whatever you want to say. He was a sci-fi writer. His line, he wrote novels and things like that. And then he hit it big with Dianetics, and then he kind of built the religion around that book. My mom read Dianetics and thought it was the tits.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct, because she was confided in about the situation back then. All right, guys. Well, there's only one song to end this on now, I think. So tomorrow at 2, we will rejoin for a longer live, actually getting into the allegations of what harassment, abuse, slander, stalking, all the fair game practices are being alleged in the lawsuit against the Church of Scientology and Danny Masterson by his victims, both the ones that have received a criminal conviction and those that either were not tried or that did not result in a conviction. Either way, the civil process moves on. The church is a party to it, so it makes it a very unique civil case that I felt like deserved its own Saturday show. So listen, just remember when you're out there, if you don't have an e-meter on hand, you just be savage. Savage. And you'll get the truth. You will get the truth of their crimes.
I'm that bitch. Been that bitch, still that bitch.
Savage.
Will forever be that bitch. Yeah, I'm the hood Mona Lisa. Break a nigga into pieces. Had to X some cheesy niggas out my circle like a pizza. I'm way too exclusive. I don't shop on Insta boutiques. All them little ass clothes only fit fake booties. Bad bitch, still talking cash shit. Pussy like water, I'm a mother and relaxing. I would never trip on a nigga if I had him. Bitch, that's my trash, you the maid, so you bagged him. I'm a savage, yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet, yeah. Sassy, moody, nasty, yeah. Acting stupid, what's happening? Bitch, what's happening? Bitch, I'm a savage, yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet, yeah. Sassy, moody, nasty, yeah. Hacking, stupid, what's happening? Bitch, what's happening? Eat me and record it, but your edge up all I'm showing. I keep my niggas private, so it's AP all I'm showing. Beefing with you bitches really getting kinda boring. If it ain't about the money, then you know I'm gonna ignore it. I'm the shit. I need a mop to clean the floors. Too much drip. I keep a knot, I keep a watch, I keep a whip. Let's play a game. Simon says I'm still that bitch. Ay, I'm still that bitch. Yeah, I'm a savage. Yeah, classy, bougie, ratchet. Yeah, sassy, moody, nasty. Yeah. Acting stupid, what's happening? Bitch, what's happening? Bitch, I'm a savage, yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet, yeah. Sassy, moody, nasty, yeah. Hacking, stupid, what's happening? Bitch, what's happening? Bitch, I'm lit like a match, ooh. And any nigga I let hit is still attached, ooh. That body right, but you know this pussy bad, ooh. I drop a picture, now these bitches feel attacked, ayy. Don't let that nigga gas you up and get you whacked, I make a call and get a pussy nigga smack, This bitch is time I pulling up, well, where you at, ooh. I'm in a lamb, bitch, catch me if you can, ooh. I'm kicking bitches out they spot, Stelly Chan, yeah. Niggas say I taste like sugar, but ain't shit sweet. Mwah.